Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this virtual tour of Nescot. Hopefully you can all see and hear me okay and see the screen. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name's Ollie, and I'll be taking you around the college just to show you the communal areas and facilities that we have available to all students when you'll spend a lot of your time. I'm also joined by my colleague Sarah this evening. She's from our advice and guidance team. She is here to answer any questions you may have throughout the session, so please feel free to utilise the chat box and answer any questions, and Sarah will answer those as we go. There'll also be an opportunity at the end, depending on how we're doing for time, for some questions at the end as well. So if you'd rather concentrate on the tour and then ask your questions at the end, that's absolutely fine. If there's a particular subject area that you're interested in seeing, so I'm not going to visit every subject area this evening, but you are welcome to have a look at this virtual tour yourself at your own leisure. At the end of the session, when the session ends, the web browser that the Zoom has opened up in should revert you to our virtual tour page. So you're welcome to have a quick look around afterwards, or you can go back to it at any time. And there's lots more information on there about the courses and the areas in particular. So just before we get started on the tour, just give you a bit of information on the college, a bit of history on it as well. So Nescot originally opened in 1953. It was originally known as Youghal County Technical College, and it originally cost only £250,000 to build. It changed its name to North East Surrey College of Technology, otherwise known as Nescot, in 1975. And we now offer further education for school leavers, which the majority of you will be here for this evening. We also offer university level education, apprenticeships, as well as adult part-time courses. And we also do some free distance learning courses as well. Throughout the year, we usually have around 8,000 students, and that's spread across all those areas there, with the predominant making up the further education 16 to 18-year-olds. Over the last few years, the college has invested over £15 million of improvements, and they've all been made around the campus. This includes building the skills park, which you'll see in a minute, the creating commercial enterprises, such as our nursery and professional hair salon, to help with revenue generation, the refitting of classrooms, IT investment, and most recently, a new car park and refurbishment of the canteen. So we will get underway with the tour now. So I'll just double check that you can all see that, which it looks like you can, so that's good. And then we'll go full screen. There we go, right. Bear with me just 1 second. Okay, so this area here is the main entrance to the college, which many of you will use when you join us. Just down here, you can see the Adrian Mann Theatre, this building here. Also known as the AMT. This is the area you'll go for any guest speakers, workshops that we have. It's also used a lot by local amateur dramatic groups that have regular evening shows. Just down the path here, where the cursor is, that is what we call Old Reception. That is another entrance into the college, which many students will use. It's also where security are based as well, should you ever need their help with anything, like if your ID badge stops working, for example. So we'll just head back now. So this area here, so down the path here, you've got the main car park. So anyone that's driving or dropping anybody off, you can drop them off up here, or students obviously can park anywhere in the car park. This area here is the skills park, also known as the main reception. So if you go through the doors just here, so immediately on your right-hand side, as you come in, so you're just coming through these doors here, just here you've got our advice and guidance team. should you ever have any queries about your application, enrolment, your course, or you want some careers advice, you can head to there during the times they're open, and they'll have a chat with you, or they'll be able to book a slot with one of the careers advisors, who are always happy to help you discuss your options post-college. As you carry on, so here is the main reception area. So that's just the main reception desk. And then this whole building is known as the Skills Park. As you head through the Skills Park, further down on the right-hand side, as I briefly touched on earlier, is one of our commercial businesses. It's called Innovation Salon. So this is a professional hair salon that it has professional staff, so they have the occasional apprentice in there, but it is predominantly professional staff that work in here. And it is, like all of our commercial enterprises, it is open to members of the public, so you're welcome to go and try it out for yourself if you would like. But as you can see, it all looks still pretty shiny and new, which is lovely. So as we head back out, so as we head down towards these barriers here, they can look a bit intimidating, but these barriers are here for security reasons, so that we know anyone that is on site should be on site. And it's one of the reasons, one of the important reasons as to why you should remember to bring your ID card with you each day. Without your ID cards, you can't get through the barriers. So you've got barriers here. The old reception area I showed you earlier also has barriers. There's a couple of turnstile entrances as well, which you won't see this evening, but if you come and visit the college, you can see. And they're also can only be activated by using your card. If you don't have your card, you can't get in. There are measures in place for you to borrow cards, but I think that is limited before you would then need to purchase a new one. But all that information will be given to you when you come for your induction. So once you go through the barriers, we head down the stairs. So just to give a bit of context as to where we are. The top of these stairs, just through these doors, that's where we just were by the barriers. So you come down the bottom of the stairs, and you come into this area here. So this area we call the Undercroft. On the left-hand side, it's a bit hidden by the wall, but you can see, well, you probably can't too well, but in there is a cafe. So that is one of 3 areas that sell food. And you've also got this area here, as well as this area here. So just to show you where we were just there. You can come through here, there's a microwave to be used. You've got this area here for relaxing, eating lunch, sitting down at breaks, catching up with some work, whatever it is you might want to do. You have that area there. And you can't see them on this, but well, you can just. There's a door there. There's sort of a whole row there of meeting rooms. These are primarily used by staff. They're not really used by students, and they are also used by external companies for hire. So if we went down this path here, it will take us outside. So it will be just out here to the right. So we've come out there, and then on the left-hand side, which is the room we're in now, is the osteopathy clinic. So this is another one of our commercial enterprises, open to the public, and it gives osteopathy students the opportunity to gain some real-life experience of treating members of the public. So again, this is open to the public. So if anyone's got any aches and pains that they want to get seen to, then by all means you can come and visit us here. And I believe the prices are considerably less than those in the private sector. So if anybody has an interest in progressing on and studying at university level, then this is one of the options that we have here to study osteopathy, which is a very popular course for us. I think there's just one more room. This is a relatively new area. I think it was only built 2 or 3 years ago, so it's all still quite new. All the equipment is brilliant and up to date. If you come out the osteopathy clinic here and turn left, you will end up in the refectory. also known as the canteen, or probably better known as the canteen. So usually it is laid out more than this, so you've got more of these tables and chairs, but these pictures were taken during the initial, well, the beginning of the COVID pandemic, so it looks a bit more sparse than usual. So you've got the area here. This is where you go and get your food. So there's hot food and drinks, sandwiches either side, and then just behind here you can't quite see is a deli counter where they sort of have jacket potatoes and they make up fresh sandwiches and rolls and stuff. If you would rather have that. So this is the main space for students to come and get food. It's one of three. We've already seen the first cafe. This is usually open at around 8 o'clock in the morning and is open until about 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So after 2 p.m. you can go to that Undercroft Cafe that we saw earlier, or you can go to the far corner here. See if we can. So that door there. If you go up that corridor, which we shall do now, it brings you. So it brings you from the right, it brings you up this corridor. So you've got this area that is more commonly known as Starbucks, but it is also the FE Common Room, Further Education Common Room. This is another area that's open relatively early in the morning and through till about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I think the Undercroft one is the one that stays open the latest. So if you are here any later than that, if you're doing any evening courses, then the Undercroft is your best bet for something later on in the day. Just across the corridor there, we don't have any images of that, unfortunately, but just across is the HE Common Room. You can see just labelled there, the HE zone. So HE stands for higher education, which is university level courses. So if you were to study at university level with us here, you've got your own private area there. So if you'd rather grab some lunch and go in there, that's absolutely fine. So next we head into more of the main area, or the main building of the college. This area is called the LRC for short, which stands for the Learning Resource Centre. In here you will find hundreds, probably thousands of books, a mixture of novels, textbooks, graphic novels, anything you can think of is probably in here. And if it isn't in here physically, it will be in here electronically. You'll see just around to the right here, these computers here are usually on and they're there so you can search for books. So it will tell you what books are actually in the LRC, what books might be online that you have access to. So part of being a student here is you have a lot of e-resources that you have access to as part of your course. As with any library, which is what this is also known as, then of course you can borrow the books, so you can take the books out for a week or two at a time, and yes, there are late fees, so make sure you return them on time. I don't think it's anything extortionate, but there are late fees like a usual library. You can also use this space just to come and catch up on some work. So you can see you've got these tables here that you can just come and do your own research, and if you've got homework or anything to catch up on, then by all means you can come and use it. You can also see there's all of these computers, so these are also available for you to use. All you need to do is, as you come in, probably through these doors mainly, head to one of these desks and just ask to use a computer, and they'll get you booked on to one of the computers. And you can also speak to them about any other sort of support you may need as well, and they'll be able to point you in the right direction. At the back of the Learning Resources Centre, where is it? It's behind me, there we go. This area here is the HE study area. So again, if you're studying university level qualifications with us, then you have access to that area there, which has computers and desk space in there as well. You just need to pop out to get any books that you might want to use. If we just head back towards the main door. Some other facilities that are in the LRC. We've got just this door here. You probably can't quite make out what that says, but that is the student finance team. So they're there if you've got any queries about travel costs, uniform costs. You can speak with them about that, and they can discuss the bursary schemes with you and any other government schemes that might be available, and they'll be able to outline what you may or may not be eligible for. So it's very worthwhile, particularly for some of the courses like hair and beauty, animal, some of the construction courses. You generally need to get like overalls, boots, and there might be some tools or equipment that you need. So if you're aware that that might be a particular difficulty for you, then by all means, please speak with them in advance and they'll be happy to help you and discuss what options are available. Just next to the student finance team, just here, this room is the reprography department, repro for short, and it's easier to say. This is basically a printing service, so if you need anything fancy, printing or binding, laminating, anything like that, then head in there and there's a small charge for that. If you're just printing basic black and white A4, A3, or in colour, then there's these printers here, and there's some other printers dotted around the college that you can use for that. Also in the repro department, they also sell stationery. So if you need notepads, pens, anything like that, then you can head in there, and they have those for sale for you to use as well. So across from the LRC, so this is the main entrance in, which is where you'll usually come into the LRC. Just before we leave and head off to another area, you can see as I go around this tour, there's lots of these sort of purple rectangles with bits on it. If you click on them, it will take you to, it gives you a lot more information, particularly with the LRC. They do have their own 360 tour within the LRC itself, which goes into a lot more detail. So you're welcome to view that. And some of the areas have this see photos, and sometimes there's links to videos as well that will take you to some of our YouTube videos. So, which I'm not going to go through all of them now, but if you want to after this, it's very worthwhile to go on that, and it will give you a bit more of an insight. So outside the main doors here, just across the hall, is an area that we call Seasons. So we'll head across there. So we've just come out of the LRC, so that's the LRC there. And then we've got this area here, which we call Seasons. Now, Seasons is an area where it's predominantly foundation students. And these are students that are generally studying below a level 1 course, so they need to do a year or two at entry level because they might have particular needs that they need some support with initially before we can get them onto a level 1 or a level 2 course. They have their own cafe, so there is technically 4 places to get some food, but the difference with the Seasons Cafe, it's open maybe once or twice a week. So I wouldn't necessarily rely on eating here every day, but they're generally open once or twice a week. The cafe itself, whilst overlooked by staff in the foundations department, it is run by students. All the food and drink is made by the students, and then you are served by the students as well, and they handle all the money. And it just gives them that opportunity and that experience of dealing with members of the public. We also have no, that's back in the cafe. We don't want to do that. So this is the training kitchen. This is just adjacent to the. So the cafe is just there. This is the kitchens. This is where they prepare all the food. There is also another room. But here we go. There we go. So, so this is where we just were, just outside here. You've got the cafe just here. This is their main classroom. So anyone studying foundations, this is where they'll spend a lot of their time. Through this door here, there is another corridor of rooms that peel off. So there's some other rooms as well. If you want to, if you are if your son or daughter may be studying in Foundations Department, head on to this virtual tour, and you've got all these other areas here on the left-hand side that you can have a look at your own leisure. So moving away from the sort of the main college site, we also have a range of sports facilities. Now, primarily these will be used by sports students, but these areas are also accessible to all students that are on site. So we have the gym. Now, the gym, the current student fee for this is £12.50 a month. There's no signing fee, no joining on fee, it's £12.50 a month. That compares to, if you're a member of the public, prices start from £21. So like I touched on there, it is open to the public as well, but it's here for students, and it's open pretty much, well, it's open every day, and it's open at weekends as well. And I believe they're going to start a morning session soon as well. So watch this space for that if you are planning to join us next year. The gym was refurbished back in Feb 2019, so just before the pandemic hit. So as you can imagine, it's not particularly been used a hell of a lot since. So all the equipment in there, it's all the latest equipment. It's all still in extremely good condition. So if you do want to use and have access to the gym, then by all means do sign up to it. So you've got the free weights there down one end, and then you've got the power assisted machines running and rowing and everything up the far end there. There are also classes, so if you are a member, you get classes for free, and they do things like legs, bums and tums, boxercise, those sort of classes. There's usually one or two a day. We also have, so overlooking the sports hall, this will be very similar to any sports hall you're probably familiar with at school. Again, this is open to the public, so it does get hired out in the evenings and at weekends, but during the day it's primarily used by sports students, public service students, and relatively regularly by foundation students as well. We also have essentially an outside sports hall. It's called the Mugger, which stands for the multi-use game area. So whilst this will primarily be used by sports, public services and foundations, it is also open at lunch times and other times during the day for enrichment activities. By enrichment activities, I mean your extracurricular activities. There'll be things like football, basketball, cricket, that sort of stuff at lunch and breaks for you to use, and that's all included as part of being a student at the college. And at the back, which only really sports students who use and potentially public services, are the sports pitches at the back here, much like any you see. If you're familiar to the area, then you may drive past them quite regularly. And again, they're open to the public as well, so they're often used at weekends and in evenings. Okay, so that is a bit of a whistle-stop tour of the main college campus areas. And I hope that gives you a bit more of an insight as to what Nestcott looks like, feels like. It's not the same as actually being there, I know. So by all means, join us at our next on-site open event on Wednesday, the 9th of February. And I'll post the link for that in the chat. I'll do that in just a second. I'll do that towards the end. I'll post the link for our next open event in the chat, so you can go on there, and if you do wish to attend that, then we do ask that you register in advance so that we can send you over all the details. But if I just pause for 10-15 minutes or so, just for anybody to ask any questions, and I'll hand over to Sarah to get any of those answered.
Hi there. I've got a couple of questions coming through. So one of the questions is, how does the SEN team work in supporting pupils? So if your child has got an EHCP, we would ask that you send a copy in before your son or daughter starts the college, and we will look through it and make sure that we can meet all their needs, and we will confirm to you that we can meet their needs, and then we will make sure that we put everything in place before they start on their course. If they haven't got an EHCP, we still do have support in place. So we have learning support assistants in most of the classes, not so much in level 3s unless the support is needed, but there's always support in the lower levels, so level 1 and level 2 classes. If you apply and you come in for a group interview, learning support's always available to speak to as well, and they're always at the open events as well. So we have level 1, where you just need the lower level grades to get onto. Then we've got a level 2 where I believe it's grade Ds, and then we've got a level 3 where you need your English and maths and preferably science as well. When you apply, because you're not going to know what your grades are, we work on predicted. So that if you applied for level 2 but you did better, we would put you up to the level 3, and if you didn't do as well, we'll put you down to the level 1 course. What are the timings like throughout the week? Timings vary. You're not normally in 5 days per week. You could be, but not always. If you've achieved your English and maths, then you're likely to be in less because you won't need to come in to do that. So my daughter's at Nescott, she's doing the full-time electrical, and she has her English and maths, so she's only in on a Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. So she's got herself a little part-time job on a Monday and Tuesday, and she does work experience at the weekend. Another question. We love dogs. Yeah, I love dogs, apart from when they're howling when I'm trying to speak to everybody. A typical day. Every day is different, to be quite honest. Some students are out. So if you're doing a childcare course, your typical day might be that you're in a placement on a Monday and Tuesday, and then you're in college Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. It could be that you're doing practical work in the morning and theory in the afternoon. So it's quite hard to say what a typical day is like. Do functional English and maths count as GCSEs? Yeah. So if you've got a level 2 functional skills, that would count as a pass to get onto a course. And if you've got the level 1, then that would be equivalent to a grade 3 on our entry requirements. You would also, if you haven't got a grade 4 at GCSE, when you come to college, you would need to continue doing your English and maths alongside. So that will be added into your timetable. Sorry, there's so many questions here. What animals do you have? I have 1 dog. My daughter is homeschooled, doesn't have predicted grades. What do we need to apply? Wants to apply for art course level 3. I think you would need to email in and speak to us. We have lots of students that are homeschooled. It might be that we'll need to do an initial assessment on her. Or it might be that you know roughly that she is going to achieve her predicted grades. So speak to us. Email me at adviceteam@nescott.ac.uk, and we can answer more questions. What did you say level 1 counts as? So level 1 functional skills is in, say, English, is equivalent of a grade 3 GCSE English. I hope I haven't missed any questions. They were coming in really, really fast. Let me go back. I think I've got them all. Oh, 1 more. Thanks. That's okay. You're welcome. Any other questions? If you think of anything, please do email. Level 2 functional skills is similar to a grade 4 at GCSEs. What animals are at the college? We have a farm, we have a reptile room, We have rabbits, we have guinea pigs, we have cows, we have sheep, we have tortoises, parrots, donkeys, lots. How many people are in each class? It varies. If you're a foundation student, there's a lot less in a class. There could be 20 in a class, there might be 25. In my daughter's class, in the electrical, I think she said there's about 15 in her class. If we get too many in a class, then we'll split it and we'll have two classes, so a group A and a group B. Do you do mechanics? We do motor vehicle. We do level 1 and level 2. That's just for full-time students. We don't do part-time for adults. So would you need to get to study English and maths if she did her level 2 functional skills? We're not aiming high, we are at home, we are homeschool. If she's got her functional skills, she doesn't have to continue to do her GCSEs because she's got that pass at level 2, although it might be worth putting her through the GCSEs if she's at school at Nescott anyway and has the opportunity to do that. Some employers, even though we take functional skills to get onto the course, some employers do prefer students to have GCSEs rather than functional skills. Level 2 childcare, what grades do you need? Off the top of my head, I think it's grade Ds in English and maths, but I would ask you to just check that on the website because I can't remember them all off by heart, sorry. I've got a question about how can we cope with guys that get really hyperactive and frustrated easily and have ADHD. That's probably something that you're best to email us and we'll talk to you on an individual basis rather than over a group chat. Entry requirements for business, again, I would just ask if you looked at the website because there's 2 different levels. We do level 2 and level 3 for business. So just check them out. All the entry requirements are on the website. I'm asking for more information about the PE course. It's sports we do level 1 sport, level 2 and level 3, and we do 3 different level 3 sports. Again, I would refer you to the website because all the information's on there, the outline of the course, the entry requirements, what's involved, the different units. Any more questions? No? The best time to email, anytime. You'll get an answer within 24 hours, within the next working day, unless it's the weekend. Sometimes we pop on at the weekend and answer them. But yeah, just email. It's adviceteam@nescott.ac.uk. If you have GCSE maths, English and computer science, what level computing course would you take? Level 3. I think that's all, Ollie. Can I hand back to you?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you, Sarah. And thanks everyone for your questions. I'm just going to type in the chat the link for the virtual tour. It should have taken you to that page, but I'm just going to type it in anyway, so you can just quickly copy and paste it before we finish. So there's the link. I'll just give everyone a minute or two to just copy and paste that out if you want to access it afterwards or at a later date. We will email it to you as well afterwards. So if you have, obviously you've registered, so we've got your details there, so we can just send that across to you. You'll also be sent after this some links to curriculum specific videos, and these are videos that happened a previous opening that we've done, so they're sort of recorded live webinars, so that'll answer some more information. Otherwise, I suggest you join us at our next physical open event, which takes place in February, and the date for that one was Wednesday the 9th of February, and you can come and see the campus in person and a lot more. But thank you everyone for joining us tonight. Hopefully this has given you a bit more of an insight. If you've got any questions, please email the advice and guidance team and head to the virtual tour. Thank you everyone and have a good evening.